Welcome to this episode of Garton Academy. Last episode we talked about the evolution of vertebrates and how humans and apes share a common ancestor. This week we'll talk about the mysterious human trait of handedness and whether this trait furthers our evolutionary linkage to great apes. This episode will cover these 3 points. First, a background on human handedness. Second, the hand preference behavior on apes. And last, the relationship between handedness and brain lateralization. About 90% of humans are right-handed, and evidence has shown that this same phenotypic ratio spans across the course of human evolution. So, the scientists wrote an article called On the Other Hand, which explores the human trait of handedness and raises the question, is handedness from a biological cause, culture, or a product of genetics? The article stated that Neanderthals, the extinct cousin of Homo sapiens, were 88% likely to be right-handed. So, what if handedness is an intrinsic primate trait that goes further back our evolutionary lineage? It is well known that humans share a common ancestor with great apes, and if handedness is intrinsic to primates, then it can be established that handedness has evolutionary roots that extend deeper than the short history of humans. A research group at Emory University, led by neuroscientist Dr. Bill Hopkins, has been exploring handedness in 800 great apes, which shows that for a specific bimanual task, gorillas, chimps, and bonobos have a preference to be right-handed, while orangutans had a preference for being left-handed. But is handedness an intrinsic feature to the captive apes, or is it just the apes mimicking their human captors? Hopkins and other researchers have reported that in wild chimps, there is a hand preference for tool use. This is consistent with findings from another study led by Elizabeth Lonsdorf at the University of Chicago. Lonsdorf's study also showed that handedness runs in the families of wild chimps. Offspring's hand usage mimicked the hand preferences of their mother, which provides evidence that wild chimps show population-level handedness that may be linked to genetic causes. Research conducted by Gillian S. Forrester for the Association for the Study of Animal Behavior found that handedness is a context-specific behavior that was common to both humans and great apes. The researchers observed children and saw that they displayed a significant right-hand bias for manual actions towards inanimate targets, but not for those directed towards animate targets. The children were found to have the same handedness patterns as the captive apes, which supports Hopkins' theory that handedness is an inherited evolutionary trait. Technologies such as MRIs have allowed Hopkins to study the brain structures and functions in individual apes with established hand preferences. Hopkins' team at Emory showed that Yerkes chimps who performed a task right-handed had a more pronounced motor hand area in their left hemisphere, while Yerkes chimps that performed in the same task left-handed had a more pronounced area in their right hemisphere. The results of his studies showed that right and left-handed Yerkes chimps differed with respect to lateralization in the precentral gyrus, which led him to suggest that as the primate brain grew bigger, the corpus callosum did not increase in size as well, which caused the cerebral hemispheres to divide tasks in one half of the brain or the other. As we delve deeper into the evolution of vertebrate species, we begin to see how ubiquitous functional asymmetries such as handedness are. Since handedness is evident in chimps, this suggests that it may be an intrinsic primate trait that spans back to before Homo sapiens even came onto the scene. This implies that handedness may be written in primates' genes and in humans' genes as well. What these genes that determine handedness specifically are, scientists have yet to discover. Well, that's all for this week. Next week we'll talk about what these actual genes are and how scientists are trying to identify them. So, until next time,